What if facing death doesn't make you humble? It reveals who you already are. Breaking Bad doesn't ask if Walter White becomes a criminal. It asks why the chemistry teacher becomes a king of cruelty. Is his transformation a desperate bid to save his family, or the unveiling of a man who finally gets to use the genius he was denied? Stay with me. The answer is uglier and more philosophical than you think. In philosophy, Heidegger called our relationship with death being toward death, the idea that awareness of mortality forces us to face who we truly are. Walter White's cancer is the mirror. What he sees in it is not a teacher deciding to protect his family. It's a man finally given permission to be the version of himself he was never allowed to become. So the pilot begins not with an immoral choice, but with an existential crisis. Walt's life is a list of small humiliations, unpaid bills, lost opportunities, a family that won't respect him. The diagnosis is the spark. What follows is less a moral fall than a philosophical revelation. When death is the deadline, what do you become? Walter White starts as a mild-mannered family man, but by the end, he's a ruthless drug lord known as Heisenberg. How did this happen? In this video, we'll unravel the philosophy behind Walter White's journey. We'll tackle big questions. What pushes an ordinary person to do terrible things? How does facing death change someone's character? And ultimately, did Walter's choices bring victory or destruction? Walter White is as average as they come. By day, he's a humble high school chemistry teacher in Albuquerque, a loving husband to Skylar, and a father to Walt Jr., but Walt's life is quietly falling apart. Money is tight, and he works a second job washing cars. Deep down, Walt carries regrets. He once contributed to major research and missed out on recognition and riches. Now he's stuck, undervalued. This quiet frustration, loving his family but feeling powerless, sets the stage for the crisis to come. Everything changes when Walt hears two devastating words: lung cancer. Suddenly, he knows his life is on a clock. People facing death often react in one of two ways. They shrink back, or they act with urgent purpose. Walt chooses action. He decides to secure his family's future and uses the one skill he has that can make money fast: chemistry. He teams up with former student Jesse Pinkman, and in an RV in the desert they cook their first batch. Walt tells himself it's all for family, but the work gives him something else: a sense of competence, achievement, and respect he's been denied. The product is shockingly pure, earning them instant reputation. Soon the alias Heisenberg appears, a deliberate persona. The name nods to physicist Werner Heisenberg and the uncertainty principle. You can't pin down all properties of a particle at once. Walt, too, becomes a figure of dual nature: family man and drug kingpin. A core motive is revealed: Walt's unrealized potential. He's a brilliant chemist who was kept small. Meth making lets him reclaim mastery. Each perfect batch is a small resurrection of the life he could have had. What begins with rationalizations quickly becomes a cascade of moral catastrophes: poisoning a child, ordering murders, manipulating loved ones. Walt tries to justify every step. It's for the family, yet his decisions are increasingly self-serving. The show forces viewers to confront a heavy question: at what point does intention stop mattering? When your actions hurt others, the ethical cover of good motives begins to fail. Breaking Bad explicitly references Shelley's Ozymandias in a turning episode where Walt's empire collapses. Ozymandias' inscription, boasting of great works that time obliterated, mirrors Walt's fate. On the ledger, Walt succeeded in several goals. He made money, protected himself against enemies for a while, and became a legend. But he lost what matters most: his family's love, dignity, and self-respect. He achieved outward success, but sacrificed inward goods. The series forces us to admit that the price of achieving your potential through harm can be catastrophic. Walt's final acts are a mix of confession, revenge, and a last attempt at control. He frees Jesse and ensures his money reaches his family indirectly. In doing so, he shows complexity. He's neither pure villain nor saint. The show ends on a bleak moral. Human greatness without human goodness is hollow. Breaking Bad doesn't hand us neat moral answers. It's a tragedy that maps how desperation, ego, and unrealized talent can bend a life toward ruin. Walter White's story is a mirror. Faced with death and a chance at mastery, would we be any different? That's it for today's journey into the world of Breaking Bad. What do you think? Share your thoughts down in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And if you enjoyed this dive, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Alteria for more explorations into stories.